Today is Veterans Day. It is a time to collectively honor people who have served in the United States military. There are some former service members who are dealing with painful memories over some of the wars that they have fought, including the sudden exit from Afghanistan after 20 years of conflict. Many veterans are suffering from a range of emotions, from pride to anger to frustration. So joining us now to discuss why it's so crucial to support service members this Veterans Day is retired Navy SEAL Mike Sarraille. Mike, did I say your name right?
You did not, but nobody gets it right. It's Sarraille. Appreciate the attempt.
Of course. Thank you very much, Mike Sarraille, for joining us. And of course, sir, thank you for your service. We honor and appreciate you. You know, after that chaotic exit from Afghanistan, but beyond just Afghanistan, I want to talk about sort of the larger picture of being a member of our armed services and what service members today feel like. What does this day symbolize to you and your brothers and sisters?
For me personally, it represents pride. Again, pride in the fact that I got to watch such amazing men and women demonstrate selfless valor on a nightly basis. But I will tell you this, veterans are angry, given that it's the 20-year mark of the war and the withdrawal from Afghanistan, and justifiably they're angry. They're angry with themselves. We're looking internally to hold ourselves accountable regarding the outcomes of the war. And there's some anger that our senior leaders, both in the military and our civilian leadership, are not holding themselves accountable. Nobody's looking to place blame. We just need to have a very candid discussion about what we learned and hopefully pass those lessons on to the next generation coming behind us so they don't repeat those same mistakes.
And I can only imagine, because of the way the withdrawal happened in Afghanistan, there are still a lot of sort of loose ends. Do you still get calls from Afghan allies who are stuck there with the Taliban trying to get out?
We do. So a lot of the amazing interpreters and a lot of amazing Afghans that supported our troops are stuck behind enemy lines, quite frankly. And that's not sitting well with a lot of veterans that, we never leave a man behind. While some of them may not be Americans, we had a duty to protect them, and we were indebted to them. And so again, that just adds to the sentiment of anger and frustration that a lot of veterans may be feeling today.
August 6th marked the 10 years since what was called the Extortion 17. It was considered the greatest single incident loss of U.S. lives in Operation Enduring Freedom in Afghanistan. What happened on that night in 2011?
This one sits close to me. Some of my dear friends who I consider brothers, 31 Americans boarded a helicopter, mostly Navy SEALs. The 75th Ranger Regiment had requested support. These men didn't hesitate. Every time you step on a helicopter to fly off into the night, there's always a risk that you're not going to come back. And again, these men did not falter. And so they flew off into the night, and as they approached the valley floor, Tangi Valley in Afghanistan to land, an RPG was fired at the helicopter, struck it, and all men were killed. And 25 plus children were left without their fathers. There are girls out there who are not going to have their fathers to walk them down the aisle. And that doesn't sit well with a lot of veterans.
What do you do to remember those who lost their lives?
It goes through an evolution. A reason I think a lot of veterans suffer from PTS is it's not so much what we saw at war, it's the fact that we have survivor's guilt. We come home and our brothers and sisters who fell on the battlefield are not with us. And so, at first you're angry, you feel responsible, and then eventually you've got to find a way to turn those memories of our fallen, their legacy, into a smile. Specifically with Extortion 17, they were some of the most amazing human beings I've ever been surrounded with. And so I try to think of them and smile for all the good times we did have together. And again, for the legacy they left us of selfless service, not only to your country, but to every American, to one another.
Talk to us about your work with the Special Operations Warrior Foundation.
So the Special Operations Warrior Foundation, led by an amazing leader, General Clay Hutmacher, now retired, They serve one purpose, and that is to fund the education of the children of fallen special operators, like the men aboard Extortion 17. So I dedicate a portion of all my keynote speaking proceeds to the Special Operations Foundation, because I could see no greater cause than making sure that, again, that young woman who won't have her father to walk her down the aisle, if we can give her a college education, that's the least we can do. And so that's why I support this organization.
Let me ask you, how do you feel that we're doing overall when it comes to veterans? You know, every time there's sort of a new administration that comes in, there are often promises made, promises to overhaul the various governmental systems, whether it's sort of hospitals or mental health. If you were to grade how this country is doing with our veterans, what grade would you give us?
That is a tough question. I've stopped depending on the government long ago. While the Veteran Affairs is a great organization and they're trying to do good, they're still part of the government, and they're restricted by certain guidelines, and that makes it tough to provide the treatment that some veterans need. The greatest support mechanism that our veterans have is the American people, is the private sector, is the other veterans, one another. So you've got to seek out the resources that are out there in order to heal these invisible wounds that we often talk about. You've got to be proactive as a veteran and not depend on organizations run by the government because of the bureaucracy, the slow process. And so it's been, again, private sector organizations, nonprofits that have helped me recover, and a lot of my brethren recover.
Mike, do veterans feel more open talking about their struggles? You know, I feel like, Veterans Day comes around, we do these stories, we talk to people like you, and periodically in the news, we'll do stories about some supportive organization. But you pointed out something, that it really has to do with the American people. And I think part of it has to do with veterans feeling like those who have not served understand the burdens that they are returning to this country with. Do you think that we have evolved in terms of the conversation about those unseen scars, the mental health burdens that many veterans carry around with them?
Great question. We are getting better. I'll put it to you that way. We still have a long way to go. I would encourage veterans to reach out and to speak up about their experiences. Of course, the American people who did not serve over there, they're not going to understand. And that's why we went, so they wouldn't have to understand that. But for a lot of veterans, first off, let me say, our veterans won every single battle they were tasked with. Even though the outcomes of the war didn't end up as we wanted them, they served with distinction. I could not be more proud. But we've got to be proactive to heal. You've got to want to heal yourself and get back into mainstream society and start contributing to again, this great country we call America. But you've got to speak up. And quite frankly, the American people should seek out to hear these stories. I made it a practice. Every morning I wake up, I get my workout in, I write, I read, and I especially read one story about a service member who gave their life, not only in the global war on terror, Vietnam, World War II, and all the way back to World War I. I just want to hear those stories and be grateful for those sacrifices they made.
You know what? That's sort of one little tip that you just gave somebody out there that's probably going to make a total difference. Is going to get them to get up, in the morning and maybe make a second step and a third step. Mike Sarraille, thank you very much.
Thanks for having me, guys.